JC just dropped a bombshell on the global truck market and almost nobody saw it coming. The all-new 2026 JAC Hunter has officially been unveiled, and this is not just another pickup refresh. It's a direct challenge to Toyota, Ford, and every legacy truck brand that thought they owned this segment. JAC didn't play it safe. They went aggressive, modern, and unapologetically disruptive, and the industry is already scrambling to react. The first shock is the design. The 2026 JAC Hunter looks nothing like the budget pickups people expect from Chinese automakers. This thing looks premium, muscular, and purpose-built. The front end is bold and wide, with a massive grille, sharp LED lighting, and a stance that screams confidence. It looks closer to a high-trim Ranger or Hilux than a low-cost work truck, and that alone is making established brands uncomfortable. But the real industry shock starts when you move beyond looks. JAC completely reworked the Hunter from the ground up. Stronger chassis, improved suspension geometry, and a platform designed to handle both brutal work conditions and daily driving comfort. This isn't a bare-bones farm truck anymore. It's designed for contractors, fleets, off-road users, and everyday buyers who want toughness without sacrificing tech. Under the hood is where things get even more interesting. JAC is reportedly offering multiple powertrain options, including a high-output turbo diesel and a new hybrid setup aimed at markets where emissions rules are tightening fast. That hybrid pickup alone is sending alarm bells through the industry. While legacy brands are still arguing about electrification costs, JAC is already pushing hybrid tech into an affordable midsize truck. Inside, the Hunter completely flips expectations. Large digital displays, modern infotainment, advanced driver assistance systems, and materials that feel far more expensive than the price bracket JAC is targeting. This is not the stripped-down interior people associate with budget trucks. This is JAC directly telling buyers they don't need to pay premium brand prices to get premium features. And then comes the part that truly shocked everyone: the pricing strategy. JAC is positioning the 2026 Hunter far below its competitors while offering features that usually sit in much higher trims. That's a nightmare scenario for brands like Toyota and Ford, especially in emerging markets where buyers are becoming extremely price sensitive. Dealers rely on high margins from pickups, and JAC is cutting straight through that business model. What makes this launch even more dangerous for the industry is timing. Global truck prices are already under pressure, inventories are piling up, buyers are delaying purchases, and right in the middle of this chaos, JAC steps in with a modern, aggressive, tech-loaded pickup that undercuts the competition. This isn't just a new truck, it's a stress test for the entire pickup market. Fleet buyers are paying close attention. Construction companies, logistics firms, and agricultural operators care about cost, durability, and uptime, not brand loyalty. If the 2026 JAC Hunter delivers on reliability, it could rip massive volume away from established players who have dominated these customers for decades. Even off-road enthusiasts are starting to look twice. With improved ground clearance, reinforced suspension, and factory off-road packages expected, the Hunter isn't just targeting city buyers. It's coming straight for the lifestyle truck segment that has been incredibly profitable for legacy automakers. And this is where the industry panic really starts to make sense. If JAC succeeds with the Hunter, it proves that Chinese manufacturers can build globally competitive pickups, not just cheap alternatives. That changes everything. It forces price wars, feature wars, and margin collapses across the segment. The 2026 JAC Hunter isn't asking for permission. It's forcing its way into a market that thought it was untouchable, and the response so far has been silence from competitors, which usually means one thing: they're worried. Because once buyers realize they can get this level of design, tech, and capability for thousands less, the old rules of the pickup market start to break down fast. And the most unsettling part is that this might just be the beginning, because JAC hasn't even revealed every variant, every configuration, or every market yet, and what's coming next could put even more pressure on brands that are already struggling to defend their pricing, their identity, and their grip on the global truck market. That what JAC is doing here goes far beyond a single truck launch. The Hunter is a signal shot aimed directly at the old power structure of the auto industry. For years, legacy brands justified high pickup prices with claims of unmatched durability, resale value, and brand trust. The 2026 JAC Hunter is quietly tearing apart that argument by delivering strength, technology, and modern engineering at a price that completely reframes what buyers should expect. Another detail that's rattling competitors is how global this truck is designed to be. The Hunter isn't built for one market, it's engineered to scale. From Latin America to the Middle East, Africa, Eastern Europe, and parts of Asia, JAC is targeting regions where pickups are tools of survival, not luxury toys. That broad strategy gives JAC volume advantages that many Western brands no longer have as they retreat into higher-priced niches. Production efficiency is another hidden weapon. JAC has optimized manufacturing to keep costs low without stripping features, and that's something legacy automakers struggle to replicate. Years of bloated supply chains, dealership markups, and labor costs have left traditional brands exposed. JAC doesn't have those same constraints, and the Hunter is proof of how dangerous that flexibility can be. Then there's durability testing, which JAC has been quietly emphasizing. The Hunter has reportedly been tested in extreme heat, freezing temperatures, heavy load conditions, and brutal terrain. This isn't marketing fluff, it's essential for convincing skeptical buyers that this truck isn't just affordable, but dependable. Once that trust barrier breaks, brand loyalty starts to crumble fast. Another underestimated factor is how quickly JAC updates its vehicles. While legacy brands operate on long, expensive refresh cycles, JAC moves fast. Software updates, feature improvements, and mid-cycle enhancements can happen rapidly. That agility matters in a market where technology expectations change every year, not every 5 years. The dealer impact could be massive. If the Hunter gains traction, it puts pressure on dealerships that already struggle to justify high prices and mandatory add-ons. Buyers walking into showrooms will start asking uncomfortable questions. Why is this truck tens of thousands more? Why does it have fewer features? Why is reliability no longer a clear advantage? Even used truck values could take a hit. Pickups have long been treated like rolling investments, but affordable, well-equipped alternatives threaten that perception. If buyers realize they don't need to overpay to get a capable truck, resale value dominance begins to weaken, and that ripples through the entire market. The most fascinating part is how quiet the response has been so far. No dramatic counter announcements, no emergency pricing changes, just silence. And silence in this industry usually means internal meetings, rushed strategy sessions, and executives realizing that the old playbook doesn't work anymore. JAC didn't unveil the 2026 Hunter to be a niche player. They unveiled it to force a reaction, and once the Hunter hits real-world roads, work sites, farms, and off-road trails, the conversation shifts from skepticism to comparison. And comparisons are exactly what legacy brands don't want right now, because once buyers start lining up specs, features, and prices side by side, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. What's unfolding here isn't just competition, it's pressure building across the entire pickup ecosystem. And as more details emerge, more variants roll out, and more markets open up, the impact of the 2026 JAC Hunter is only going to grow, pushing the industry closer to a breaking point that very few were prepared for. And that breaking point becomes even more dangerous when you look at how fast information spreads now. Social media, independent reviewers, fleet operators, and real-world owners will do what marketing departments can't control. This isn't about a new competitor, it's about a new standard quietly forming under the feet of an industry that thought it was standing on solid ground. And that internal reshaping is exactly what makes this moment so dangerous for the old guard. Disruption doesn't always arrive with chaos. It often arrives with calm confidence. The 2026 JAC Hunter isn't shouting for attention. It's letting numbers, features, and real-world performance do the talking. And that's why it's so hard to counter. Another underestimated consequence is how this pressures innovation timelines. Legacy automakers can no longer afford slow rollouts or incremental upgrades. Buyers exposed to the Hunter will expect faster improvements, smarter tech, and better value across the board. That forces rushed development cycles, higher risk, and costly mistakes, all while margins are already under strain. Marketing strategies start to break down too. Glossy ads and emotional storytelling lose power when buyers are armed with spreadsheets, comparisons, and ownership cost breakdowns. The Hunter thrives in that environment because it wins on logic, and logic beats nostalgia when money is tight. There's also a psychological shift happening among dealers themselves. When a competitively priced, well-equipped truck starts pulling customers away, salespeople feel it immediately. Incentives increase, discounts deepen. Suddenly, trucks that were firm on price aren't so firm anymore. The Hunter doesn't need a massive dealer network to create pressure. It creates pressure simply by existing. Technology parity is another major shock. Advanced driver aids, digital clusters, connectivity, features once used to justify premium pricing are becoming baseline expectations. The 2026 JAC Hunter treats them that way. That erodes the feature gap competitors relied on for years. And the more this gap closes, the more exposed inefficiencies become. Excessive trim complexity, overlapping models, bloated option lists, all of it starts to look outdated when a simpler, cleaner alternative delivers the same real-world results. What's unfolding is a slow realignment of power. Buyers gain leverage, manufacturers lose pricing control. The balance shifts. The Hunter is not the sole cause, but it's a powerful catalyst accelerating a trend that was already building beneath the surface. As that acceleration continues, the industry faces a hard choice: adapt quickly and painfully, or resist and lose relevance. And with each new market launch, each positive review, and each contract signed, the 2026 JAC Hunter pushes that decision closer to unavoidable, tightening the pressure on an industry that's running out of room to hide. And when an industry runs out of places to hide, the cracks become impossible to ignore. Inventory piles up, incentives balloon, residual values soften. All the warning signs that executives try to explain away suddenly start lining up. The 2026 JAC Hunter doesn't cause those problems, but it exposes them. Another layer of disruption comes from how transparent competition has become. Buyers can now compare global models that were once region-locked. When they see what the Hunter offers for the money, it reframes what they consider acceptable. That comparison alone puts downward pressure on pricing across borders. JAC's approach also challenges the idea that trucks must be oversized and overcomplicated to feel premium. The Hunter focuses on usable strength, balanced dimensions, and efficiency. That appeals to buyers who are tired of paying more for size they don't need and fuel consumption they can't justify. There's a strategic patience at work too. JAS isn't flooding every market at once. They're choosing battles carefully, building credibility, then expanding. That measured rollout reduces risk and maximizes impact. By the time competitors fully react, the Hunter is already embedded. The engineering philosophy matters here. Instead of chasing extreme specs for bragging rights, the Hunter targets the middle of real-world use. Towing, payload, durability, comfort, balanced where most owners actually live. That practical focus resonates far more than headline numbers. The Hunter positions itself as a work-first machine in a market overloaded with lifestyle marketing. There's also a silent generational shift happening inside the truck market. Older buyers grew up trusting a handful of brands. New buyers grew up comparing specs online, watching teardown videos, and listening to independent reviews. They're less influenced by advertising and more influenced by value proof. The 2026 JAC Hunter is engineered for that reality. Even financing becomes a weapon here. Lower base prices mean easier approvals, better fleet deals, and broader accessibility. That opens the door to customers who were previously priced out of the pickup market entirely. Expansion at the bottom reshapes the entire segment from below, and that's where disruption hurts the most. Legacy automakers now face an impossible balancing act: match JC on price and destroy profits, match on features and raise costs, ignore it and lose market share. None of those options are comfortable, and that's exactly why the Hunter is so dangerous. What's especially telling is how fast competitors are accelerating their own announcements. Rumors of rushed refreshes, delayed EV programs being reevaluated, and internal debates over hybrid pickups are already surfacing. The Hunter didn't just enter the market, it changed the timeline for everyone else. And as more details leak, more road tests emerge, and more buyers put real miles on the 2026 JAC Hunter, the pressure only intensifies. Because once proof replaces speculation, the conversation stops being about whether this truck belongs in the same league and starts being about why the league itself was allowed to become so expensive in the first place. And that question hits at the core of the entire pickup business model. For years, prices climbed quietly, justified by trim packages, branding, and minor tech upgrades that barely changed real-world capability. The 2026 JAC Hunter exposes how inflated that structure has become. It forces buyers to reconsider what they're actually paying for, and that realization is incredibly dangerous dangerous for an industry built on perception. Another pressure point is how quickly JAC can localize production. Assembly in regional markets reduces tariffs, shortens supply chains, and stabilizes pricing. That gives the Hunter resilience against trade disruptions and currency swings that have wrecked margins for other manufacturers. Flexibility like that turns volatility into an advantage. Then there's the software angle. JAC is leaning hard into connected systems, diagnostics, and over-the-air updates. That means problems can be detected early, features can be improved post-sale, and ownership evolves over time. Legacy brands talk about this future, but the Hunter is already structured to live in it, without charging premium subscription fees. The aftermarket impact could be massive too. Once a truck reaches critical mass, part suppliers, off-road brands, and accessory manufacturers jump in. Lift kits, bumpers, racks, tuning options, all of it increases appeal and further legitimizes the platform. When enthusiasts start building Hunters the way they build Hiluxes and Rangers, perception changes permanently. What's happening now is a slow-burning disruption. No single headline captures it, no overnight collapse, just steady erosion of old assumptions. Each buyer who chooses a Hunter over a traditional brand weakens the narrative that only legacy pickups can be trusted. Even media coverage is shifting. Early skepticism is giving way to cautious respect. Reviewers who expected compromises are finding fewer excuses to criticize. And once neutral voices validate the product, resistance fades fast. JAC's confidence is also telling. They're not positioning the Hunter as a cheap alternative. They're positioning it as a smart choice. That language matters. It reframes the purchase as informed, not compromised. And that's how markets change, one rational decision at a time. As the 2026 JAC Hunter rolls out into more markets, gains visibility on real job sites, and proves itself in harsh conditions, the industry won't have the luxury of ignoring it anymore. Because at that point, the moment the 2026 JAC Hunter proves itself under load, on rough terrain, and over long distances, the narrative shifts permanently. Once people stop asking, is it good for the price? And start asking, why is it so much cheaper than everything else? The market psychology flips. Another critical threat is how JAC is redefining value for first-time truck buyers. Younger buyers, small business owners, and rural operators don't carry decades of brand loyalty. They care about capability, tech, warranty, and monthly payments. The Hunter speaks directly to that mindset. It doesn't demand emotional loyalty. It earns attention through numbers, features, and practicality. That's a nightmare scenario for brands that rely on heritage more than innovation. There's also the geopolitical angle that nobody in the industry wants to talk about openly. As Chinese automakers expand globally, supply chains shift, manufacturing centers move, and pricing power relocates. The 2026 JAC Hunter isn't just a vehicle. It's part of a larger industrial transition that challenges where vehicles are built, who controls costs, and who sets market expectations. Off-road trims and special editions are where this gets even more disruptive. JAC knows lifestyle trucks drive huge margins for competitors. If the Hunter launches factory off-road packages with locking differentials, skid plates, all-terrain tires, and aggressive tuning, without luxury pricing, it undercuts one of the most profitable segments in the entire auto industry. Regulators are watching too. Hybrid and lower emission variants give JAC leverage in markets where diesel-only trucks are under pressure. That flexibility allows the Hunter to survive where some legacy models may be restricted or heavily taxed. Adaptability becomes a competitive weapon, not just compliance. And then there's the warranty and ownership cost equation. If JAC backs the Hunter with extended warranties, affordable parts, and simplified maintenance, it removes another traditional advantage held by established brands.